about this for decades, for over half a century. Try to have a conversation with anyone about climate change, people just tune out.
Climate change.
Climate change.
Climate change.
And the problem seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. The more I've learned about this issue and everything that contributes to the problem, the more I realize how much I don't know.
Oh my God! Look at how violent that is.
Paradise that has been degraded and destroyed. We're knowingly doing this. Far we've gone, and if there's anything we can do to stop it. The U.S. has been the biggest emitter of greenhouse gases in history.
You're a fossil-addicted country. We are doing more investment in solar today than the U.S. is.
I still don't believe in climate change. Why do you think there is such opposition about the science?
I think it's politics.
People are so arrogant to think they can change climate.
Environmental issues have become the biggest reason for mass demonstrations. But we want to hold them accountable.
This is the most important issue of our time. Question is, can we change our course in time?
You need 100 gigafactories to transition to sustainable energy.
That would make the United States
The whole world.
The whole world.
All energy.
That sounds manageable. All that I've seen on my journey shows us we have the means of stopping this devastation.
Politicians do what the people want them to do. Once the American people are convinced, the politicians will fall in line very quickly.
If we keep pushing, there's no reason why we can't solve this problem.
The world is now watching. We ask you to protect it. Are we and all living things we cherish our history?
Before the Flood, a 2016 documentary featuring Leonardo DiCaprio as he investigates the impacts of climate change around the world. This film is important today because climate change has become a global issue connected to globalization, politics, industry, and human survival.
This documentary tackles issues on climate change, human-caused destruction, and real-world evidence.
So what the document is about. So the documentary explains the science behind climate change and show how human activities such as burning fuel and deforestation are speeding up global warming. So it gives real interviews and real location to prove that climate change is happening now.
Is involved in the documentary. Follow Leonardo DiCaprio on a global journey to witness climate change. Firsthand, he visited the melting Arctic ice caps, rising sea levels in Miami, polluted rivers in India, and drought areas in Africa. The scenes include DiCaprio interviewing former U.S. President Barack Obama on a global cooperation, witnessing the collapse of Antarctic ice shelves, and meeting communities devastated by flood and typhoons. This film shows how climate change causes extreme weather, biodiversity loss, and human suffering, emphasizing that it's a man-made crisis driven by the fossil fuels and deforestation. Is involved in the documentary. Follow Leonardo DiCaprio on a global journey to witness climate change. Firsthand, he visited the melting Arctic ice caps, rising sea levels in Miami, polluted rivers in India, and drought areas in Africa. The scenes include DiCaprio interviewing former U.S. President Barack Obama on a global cooperation, witnessing the collapse of Antarctic ice shelves, and meeting communities devastated by flood and typhoons. This film shows how climate change causes.
Why this film is important in today's global world.
We are making a very significant change to the chemical constituency of the atmosphere and the oceans.
What we do now and in the next 2 years will profoundly affect the next few outer years.
You only speak of green, eternal economic growth because you are too scared of being unpopular.
The world's people have spoken. Their message is clear. Time is running out. The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere now is 50% higher than it was in 1900. Now, in the space of one human lifetime, indeed, in the space of my life, all that has changed.
If we don't protect nature, we can't protect ourselves.
Why? Why this film is important in today's global world, global climate effects. This film is important in today's globalized world because it shows how climate change is so longer just a scientific issue. It is a global, social, political, and economic crisis that affects every country. It helps us understand how interconnected our world is and why international cooperation is needed to solve global environment problems. Why?
Before the Flood follows Leonardo DiCaprio as they travel across different countries to witness the real impacts of climate change. Some key places that his visit include Greenland and Arctic, where massive ice sheets are melting, China and India, where population is extreme, Indonesia, where rainforests are burned to make palm oil plantation, Miami, USA, where rising sea levels already cause flooding. Throughout the film, we see the effects global warming, such as melting ice, stronger storm, droughts, forest fires, and the destruction of communities. The documentary highlights the connection between human activities like burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and industrial agriculture, the rapid warming of the planet.
Main part analysis. The documentary shows how globalization plays a major role in climate change. Global industry like oil, coal, meat production, and palm oil contribute massively to greenhouse gas emissions. Countries are economically interconnected, which means environmental problems in one nation affect others. For example, palm oil produced in Indonesia is used in products sold worldwide. This global demand leads to deforestation that contributes to climate warming.
Global environmental issue. Before the Flood clearly connects to the global issue discussed in the contemporary world, melting ice and rising sea levels. DiCaprio visits the Arctic and sees how the ocean sits melting faster than predicted. Pollution. Cities like Beijing show how industrial growth contributes to thick, smog, and unhealthy air. Extreme weather. Droughts in California and floods in Miami reflect real world climate disaster. These issues highlight that environmental problem world, melting ice and rising sea levels. DiCaprio visits the Arctic and sees how the ocean sits melting faster than predicted. Pollution. Cities like Beijing show how industrial growth contributes to thick, smog, and unhealthy air. Extreme weather. Droughts in California and floods in Miami reflect real world climate disaster. These issues highlight that environmental problems are not isolated, they affect the entire world.
Socio-economic impact. The documentary showed that climate change is also a socio-economic issue. Poor countries suffer the worst effect even touch they contribute the less to climate change. Worldly nations have more money to protect themselves, while vulnerable communities experience flood, hunger, and displacement.
Politics and corporate. The film exposes how corporations and politicians influence climate change policies. Some governments deny climate change because they receive support from fossil fuel companies. This politicians' conflict shows down global efforts, including agreements like the Paris Agreement.
Documentary connect directly to several sustainable development goals. SDG 7 promote clean and renewable energy. SDG 12 encourage sustainable consumption. SDG 13 calls for urgent climate action. SDG 14 and SDG 15 remind us to protect ocean, forests, and land ecosystems.
Personal reflection. Watching this documentary has made me realize how serious and urgent the climate crisis is. I learned that every action matters. What we buy, what we consume, what we use, resources all affect the planet. The film changed my perspective and inspired me to be more environmentally responsible.
To understand how climate change affecting our planet and our way of life. One of the most impactful things I've learned from this documentary is how human actions, from burning fuels to deforestation, are contributing to the
Conclusion, Before the Flood shows that climate change is a global threat that requires global cooperation. We cannot wait for the future. Action must happen now. There is no plan B, and protecting our world is our shared responsibility.